Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 9th October 2023. My name is T.S.V. Raghavan and I live in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog on YouTube. Hardan, 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 Haribol, TRSV, Nectar, NECTAR, Nectar. In this particular vlog, in all my previous videos, we have been discussing about the knowledge and information that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video in this vlog is no exception to that rule. In fact, it is a mere continuation of all that we have been doing in all my previous videos. Kindly subscribe to this vlog and press the bell icon so that I may keep reminding you of all my previous, present, and future videos. So let us talk about the topic of discussion for today's video. Yesterday we talked about the case history concerning our topic called Psyche of a human living entity, whether male or female. We have been trying to analyze the psyche of various categories and types of human living entities, both male and female, in this world, and we are trying to understand human psyche according to his or her brain better than we did before. As we have been discussing various case histories, we shall continue with that process in today's video also. Today we shall discuss about another such case history. So let us begin. There is a small town called Gwalior in the state of Madhya Pradesh in India. In this particular town, on one late evening at around 10 or 9 in the night, in one particular main police station called Jayendraganj police station in a place called Lashkar in Gwalior, the station chief was having a very important and confidential meeting with a person who was actually a seasoned and very talented police informer. Information given by this police information had seldom been wrong. Hence, this station chief always relied on this person's pieces of information. Today, in this meeting, This informer told this station chief that one particular person was going to come at around 10:30 to 11 at night in a nearby place called Chandni Chowk at a particular house, and so this person could be nabbed by the police if it hurried. This person was to come at around 10:30 or 11 in the night. So this meeting must have happened at around 8:30 to night at night in the police station. This particular person was returning to Gwalior after 15 long years, and that too after vanishing in thin air in the year 1976 after committing the cold blooded murder of three of his own male friends. This guy had simply disappeared and the police was not able to trace him till now. Now this informer informed this police station chief that if he tried, along with his own team, to nab that person, the station chief, could, and that the informer was certain about this piece of information. Immediately, the police team went with a complete posse of policemen and surrounded that particular spot and waited. At around 8:30 to 9, one auto rickshaw came to that particular house and stopped there. The police waited breathlessly. Suddenly, one particular passenger got out of that auto rickshaw. He gave the station chief a shock of his life. This man was middle aged, very well dressed, looked quite decent, and he was dressed in a grey three-piece suit with a tie. In no way did he look like the killer who he was supposed to have been in the year 1976. Anyway, this station chief chose to rely on that informer. As soon as this man got out, gave his money to the auto rickshaw driver, and the auto went away, this guy began walking towards that particular building where he was supposed to have come. Suddenly, in the lamplight that was glistening around, the police people came from all sides and surrounded this man. This guy, after an initial shock, smiled abashedly. The station chief looked at him. He called him by his name. This guy looked quite perplexed. Evidently, he did not recognize this name at all. However, on a hunch, this police inspector asked this man to follow the whole team to the nearby police station. This guy obeyed without any protest. They all went there, and the police station chief made this man sit on a chair in the interrogation room. Are you such and such a person? This police inspector asked. This guy again looked perplexed. He said, who is that guy? I don't recognize him at all. The police chief looked at this guy coolly and asked, then who are you and what are you doing here? This guy said, I am a gemstone dealer, a businessman who is living in Jaipur, a township which is the capital of the nearby state of Rajasthan in India, and that I have come here on a personal come business trip. He said that this guy had been in New York for several years and that he had got his training to do business in gemstones. After saying this, this guy took out a packet of gemstones as samples which he showed to the police inspector. The police inspector was baffled. Here was one very decent, very fluent in English speaking, very educated looking guy who was a dealer in gemstone, and this particular inspector had caught him and brought him to the police station. The chief thought that he had been taken royally for a ride by that informer. He got slightly angry. He asked this man to excuse him and then he went to an ante room and phoned that informer. When that guy came on the call, this inspector shouted at him, what do you mean by this kind of joke? It is a very bad one. Why did you finger a very decent, well dressed gemstone dealer of a guy and said that he was that criminal? Don't you have any other work? The informer chuckled on the other end. Sir, he said, I was very much there when you accosted this guy in that spot when that fellow arrived in an auto rickshaw. I saw this guy. I can assure you that he is that cold blooded killer only. If you ask him police style, he is certainly going to accept his guilt and spill all the beans. The policeman was baffled. He did not know who to believe. This informer had always been genuine. Nevertheless, this inspector decided to take a chance. He rushed back to the interrogation room and asked him curtly, policeman style, enough of your joke, gentleman, he called that new intruder or guest. Don't tell me that you are a gemstone dealer. Please give me your real identity or else I will have to apply my police force on you. Suddenly, this guy got up, smiled, and tried to shake hands with the police inspector. He said, "Yes, sir, you are right. My name is Ashok Jamdar, and I am just the person who you have been trying to look for." Now we will take a detour. We are talking about the human psyche. A police inspector is a police inspector. He is on official duty, so we need not talk much about a policeman's intelligence or brain because he is just doing his official duty as per his training. But first, that informer, how intelligent and observant that informer must have been to have noticed that this guy who had vanished in thin air 15 years ago would be coming here at this particular moment, and he would look exactly like he did when he came to Gwalior that year, that particular night in 1991. That shows the intelligence of this informer who obviously was listening to his own astral mind's vibration, which made him understand all material intelligence, observation, and other such tips which made him recognize this person even without seeing him before. Such was the information provided by this informer, who must have been very skilled in his profession as a professional informer. This shows that this man was not listening to his vibrations from his etheric body of senses, but was listening to his astral mind of pure, unadulterated, cold, calculated intelligence. Yes, it could not have been from the causal body of intelligence, but nevertheless it came from his mind. Third, we will talk about Ashok Jamdar, the actual culprit. Let us look at the psyche of this guy. This guy was coming to Gwalior after 15 years. If you think from his side, this guy who had been on the run from the police of Madhya Pradesh for 15 long years had managed to roam around in this very country incognito in spite of the fact that his own subconscious must have been a very scared person, just like a deer caught in crosslights in a street. Despite that, this guy had a very cold intelligence which bordered on his own causal intelligence of logic and thinking. That is, he had no emotions whatsoever. Or probably that precisely was the reason why he could have survived incognito for so many years without getting in touch with any of his accomplices or relatives, and getting caught by the police. Now we shall continue with the story. We will have to go behind to the early 1970s. This guy had come to a building block in a place called Shinde Ki Chhawni in Gwalior on that fateful night. Actually, this guy, along with his family, lived in one of the houses of that block of buildings in Shinde Ki Chhawni. He had probably been born there. This guy was a never do well right from his childhood. He was not very educated and he had another best friend and accomplice called Bhaiya Lal. These two guys had become notorious right from their early teens. Bhaiya Lal was very brave, very bold, very impetuous, and very strong, but he did not have much brains. Whereas this Ashok Jamdar was not so strong or brave or courageous, but he had a lot of cunning in him. The police of that area was fed up with the capers of both these young boys. The police was so outraged that it tried to chastise these guys several times in the police station as well as in their locality, but these guys fell into a very bad company and all the sane advice of their elders, including the policemen, fell into their deaf ears. Bhaiya, the more courageous of the two, had lost his mother in his childhood. His father had remarried one woman, and that stepmother hardly cared for what Bhaiya Lal was doing. So Bhaiya Lal had a very free and uncontrolled lifestyle. Bhaiya Lal, even at that age, was addicted both to liquor and to sex. That shows that Bhaiya Lal used to listen only to the vibrations of his etheric body of senses. According to Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, lust and greed are two very important evils that plague any human being and drag him or her to the pits of hell. Bhaiya Lal happened to be one of them. Ashok Jamdar was living with his family in that block. Bhaiya Lal was his best friend and accomplice, but Bhaiya Lal was so unscrupulous and lusty that he began lusting for Ashok Jamdar's sister also. Ashok Jamdar and his parents and family protested against this. Thus, those two guys who had been childhood bumchums suddenly became arch rivals and enemies. Ashok Jamdar was not as physically strong or courageous as Bhaiya Lal. Hence, the quarrel and animosity between both of them grew day by day. So much so that Bhaiya Lal once tried to attack Ashok Jamdar too when both of them were in their mid-teens. But the public rescued Ashok Jamdar. Ashok Jamdar was very cunning, conniving, and scheming. Now he got scared that mortally he was no match to Bhaiya Lal, and that knowing Bhaiya Lal, this guy was capable of physically harming, maiming, or even killing Ashok Jamdar. So now Ashok Jamdar drew out a blueprint to get even with Bhaiya Lal. He pretended to be friendly with Bhaiya Lal even after that unfortunate and unpleasant incident, and thus Bhaiya Lal did not suspect anything from Ashok Jamdar. One day, Ashok Jamdar invited Bhaiya Lal and three of his friends to a liquor party. As has been mentioned before, Bhaiya Lal was used to liquor, and he beamed when he found that there was somebody who was giving him a free liquor party. Ashok Jamdar promptly laced the bottles of liquor with poison. Then he served pegs of this liquor to all the other four. They drank it, but Bhaiya Lal, despite his stupidity and bull-headed and pig-headedness, realized as soon as he drank this liquor that it was not as tasty as an ordinary liquor. This guy began suspecting something. He went home, drank some calibrated milk, and vomited whatever he had drunk in that liquor. Thus, he escaped any tragedy in his own life. But the other three innocent friends were not so lucky. Two of them died of the poison there and then, and the third was rushed to the hospital where he told the police before dying that he had been poisoned by the liquor party given by none other than Ashok Jamdar. Ashok Jamdar vanished from Gwalior that very night or evening along with his own father. Now we will again take a detour. Here it shows the psyche of all the characters. Bhaiya Lal was always listening to his vibrations from his etheric body of senses, which are five in number: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. Taste comes from the tongue of the gross body of a human living entity. This guy was so used to listening only to these vibrations that this fellow had the intelligence to understand immediately after consuming the liquor that he had been poisoned. This shows the psyche of Bhayyalal. Though he was not cerebrally inclined, he had the common sense of a person listening to the vibrations of the etheric body of senses to realize that somebody was trying to harm or kill him. Meanwhile, we will look at the psyche of the other guy, Ashok Jamdar. Yes, it is true that he was listening to his astral body of mind, feelings, and emotions. It was his feelings and emotions that had made him go against his own childhood best friend, Bhaiya Lal. But all his cerebral intelligence, which emanated out of the vibrations of his astral body of mind, turned into negativity because of his demonic scheme of trying to harm Bhaiya Lal and the other guys. This shows how devious one person can become if his or her emotions and feelings get the better of him. If only by Ashok Jamdar had listened to his causal body of intelligence and logic, he would not have done such a foolhardy act or taken such a stupid decision. Anyway, the fact remains that a massive tragedy occurred in that area in that evening of 1976. After some time, the father returned and surrendered to the Gwalior police station, but the police had nothing against the father, and so it had to release this man, who was very helpless by this time, just because he was helpless and was devoted and affectionate to his son, this killer Ashok Jamdar. The father here had a very strange psyche. Though he was not as murderous and cunning as his own son, and though he would not have approved to such a demonic plan, yet he had to run away with that very son who had now committed three murders. The father did not know the whereabouts of the son. This son had vanished in thin air from where he did not return to Gwalior for any event in the family or in the city for the next 15 years. That is from 1976 to 1991. Meanwhile, his sisters and his brothers also got married, but this guy never participated in any family celebration or function. This shows the cutthroat, cold blooded logic of Ashok Jamdar, a man who had already committed three murders and suddenly began listening to his logic, and he knew by now that if he by mistake tried to get emotional or tried to listen to his astral mind, he is certainly going to get caught. It was his own cold logic from his causal body of intelligence which prevented him from coming to his own hometown for another 15 years. But one has to hand out to Ashok Jamdar. He was such a cutthroat and cold-hearted guy that he not only tried to become a gemstone businessman, but he also got married and he raised his own family in the city of Jaipur in the nearby state of Rajasthan. This shows the psyche of this cold blooded and stone hearted killer. Anyway, in the year 1991, as it is said in the criminal world, one criminal, howsoever intelligent he or she may be, commits at least 25 mistakes while committing a crime. And even if he remembers half of it, he may be considered a genius. Besides, Nemesis strikes even the most wary transgressor. That is, God gives you your retribution, howsoever intelligent you may be. That was precisely the reason why, because of his mistake, his arch rival, who was supposed to have been killed in that liquor party, Bhaiyalal, survived, and the other victim lived to tell his tale to his police before dying. These two went against Ashok Jamdar. Not only that, he safely presumed that now, after 15 years, police would have forgotten about the whole incident. And that was precisely the reason why he came back to Gwalior and went to the same building where he had been brought up 15 years ago. This shows how the human psyche operates and how the unknown forces of nature operate and control, regulate, and monitor the human beings or living entities in this society. Howsoever cunning, intelligent, logical, emotional, and people with feelings they may be, they are certainly going to become victims of nemesis one day or the other. In fact, it is said that your friend and your own enemy are never not outside but inside you. You yourself take such decisions which may take you to the top or may drag you down the pits of hell. This is such a story. Ashok Jamdar had to pay his price for the atrocious crime of murdering three innocent persons that he had committed in 1976. He was tried and sentenced either to life imprisonment without parole or to a death sentence. This guy had ultimately to pay the price for what he had done in 1976. This is all I wanted to say in this particular case history. Kindly let me know what you think of my talk on this particular matter. Please give me your own expert opinions, thoughts, and ideas so that I may blend everything together for the sake of this society. Before concluding, let me remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.